FileMaker has a complete word processor built into layout mode. That means you can create nearly anything in FileMaker you could in a word processor, including form or merge letters. Form letters are where you merge fields or dynamic data with static text to produce a customized letter. For example, let's say you wanted to send out an invitation, but you want it to be personalized. You want to send them a letter and invite them to your Christmas party, and you want it to say their name, Dear John, Dear Amy, Dear whoever it might be, so it's a little bit personalized. This is what a form letter is. Now you could just simply export to a merge format, which we'll cover later, and import it into Word or your favorite word processor, and then perform a mail merge there. But why not do it all in FileMaker? It's easy to do, and you never have to leave FileMaker, and you can just click Print and go. So we're going to go into layout mode. We'll create a new layout. We're going to call this Print Letter, and we're going to choose blank layout. There's no letter assistant to help you out. And I'll close the inspector here for a second. I'm going to move the header down, and the reason I'm moving it down is to make room for possible letterhead. If you have a letterhead, you can go ahead and adjust that header to that size, and it may take a couple of print tries to get it right. Now if you want to put your logo in there as an EPS, you can do that as well and type in your stuff in the header. It's up to you how you do that. Next we're going to go and get our text block and drag a text block inside this area, and we're going to start typing Dear space, and here's where we want the merge field. So we're going to go in here and insert merge field, find the name first field, click OK, then type a colon, and here's where we want the rest of the letter. Now I'm not going to type it here. We're just going to go ahead and paste it. And you could put more merge fields in there, but you don't really to prove the point here. One merge field would be sufficient, but if you wanted something in the middle of a paragraph, you could do that as well. So let's go over to our text editor, and this file called letter.txt, if you want, is provided in the work files. We're going to copy the text, come back here, and then paste. There we go. Looks like we've got a pretty good letter. One thing we may want to do when we're doing a letter is turn on our page margins. This will help us better view what the page looks like. You can see it right here with these page breaks right here, but if we turn on page margins, which is under the View menu, you'll see that it makes it a little bit easier to view it as a page, especially if it's a print layout. Now you also need to worry about this. Right now what we're getting is margins which are appropriate for our printer, the largest printable area. In other words, we get the minimum margins here. Now this may not work for everything. You may need to worry about this in that somebody may be printing with a laser printer or an inkjet printer, or who knows what printer that has different margins. So I often go into Layout Setup, go to the Printing section, and I use Fixed Page Margins. Remember, if this doesn't say inches or centimeters or what you want, you can easily change that in the inspector by toggling through the Position section. And I'm going to set this up to 0.5. You can experiment with it and set it up however you want, but that's what I found works pretty well for me and accommodates most printers. It can even accommodate A4 letter size, so this will handle most situations through my experience at least. Click OK. You notice that our page is smaller than our text block, so we'll have to resize this. Now we're within those dimensions, and now we can resize it a little bit up here. Move our body part up as well. And that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and see what we've got here by going into preview mode. So we'll go here, and the first thing we see is we have multiple letters per page, and that's not good. So let's change that. It's actually very easy to fix. All we have to do is double click on our body part, brings up our part definition, and you'll see this option, page break after every one occurrence. I don't often change the 1 to a 2 or a 3. In fact, I've never changed it as far as I can remember, because often you want it to page break after every record, not every 2 records. That's really usually a strange situation, although I can see it happening, that's why it's there. When we click OK and go back to preview mode, we're going to see now we have page 1 is the first letter, page 2 is the second letter, and so on. Now if you had a 2-page letter, well then the page break would happen after the second page and then after the fourth page and so on. It happens every record because that's what the body represents. So let's go ahead and do some more stuff. Let's go back into layout mode and let's hit a couple returns in here. We'll double click on our text block, hit a couple returns, move our cursor up to the top with the arrow keys, and then we're going to insert our date symbol. Now you can just type those if you want. And what if you want it to be over to the right side? Well, that'd be nice. I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon to right justify it. And notice only this line moves over. That's because FileMaker is a full word processor. It works the same as any word processor in that each time you hit a return, you get a new ruler. It copies the ruler above it, but you can change each ruler independently if you want. So if I come down in here and put my cursor in this returned area, there's a return right here and one right here. If I put it in here, you see it's left justified. Click back up here, it's right justified. In fact, if I want to highlight multiple paragraphs and change them together, I can do that. So remember that about FileMaker. It has a full word processor in it. You can do just about anything you want. So the other thing we can do here is change our formatting for our date. I just want to go over this over and over because you want to make sure you understand how to do this. And before we do this, make sure you know that we can't change the formatting by highlighting this. We have to actually have the anchor points like that, and we change the whole text block at once. So any date in there is going to go ahead and format the way I set it up in a second. So come over here to our inspector again, come over to our data, scroll down to the bottom, and we'll switch to date, and we'll say I want this long date. It'll look more professional, more sophisticated. And then we need to move our body part down a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's see how it looks in preview mode. And there's your date. Looks pretty nice. One letter per page. It's looking pretty good. There's room up here for your letterhead if you want it. You could even set up at the bottom if you want some letterhead down here as well. It's up to you. What we're going to do is continue on in the next section tweaking this letter to make it just the way you want it.